name is Tim Garretts, and I am the robotics director at Sarah Hines' house. I have a STEM activity for you today. We're going to be making kinetic sand. Now, what is kinetic sand? It's sand. We mix a few ingredients with it, and it becomes moldable like this. And we're going to actually color it too. It's also kind of squishy, fun to play with. Now, I am going to warn you, this can get messy to make. So now it's a little bit warmer outside. I recommend making it outside. Now, the ingredients that we're going to use to make it are play sand. You can get this at hardware stores, maybe a department store, and just regular sand like you'd use in a sandbox. And the other ingredient we're going to be using is cornstarch and a little bit of dish soap. And then if you want to, food color to color it. And then I'll also need a couple of measuring spoons for the size of sand that I'm making. A third of a cup is good, half tablespoon, and let's get started. So we're going to start with a Ziploc bag. This is a way to reduce the amount of mess that you make. And we're going to take the sand and I'm going to scoop out a third of a cup. And then we're going to mix the dry ingredients. So the next thing I'm going to mix is about a tablespoon, heaping tablespoon of cornstarch. And now I can zip it up to try and keep the mess to a minimum. And I'm going to shake it up, mix the sand and the cornstarch together. Okay. Once that is mixed, now I'm going to go get some water and add some water too. Okay, now I'm going to add the water, and I'm going to add the same amount of water as cornstarch. Maybe a little bit more, but it's easier to add more than take it away. So there we go. Do that, and then just a little squirt of dish soap. That's plenty. Now, I'm going to seal it up again, once again to try and contain the mess. And we're just gonna mix it up like this. Mix it up, squish it around. You feel it kind of starting to get squishy. And you can kind of feel the sand sort of transform into another kind of material, where instead of being real soft, powdery, now it's going to turn clumpy, a little bit like Play-Doh. But it takes a little bit to mix it up. Now, using the plastic bag is really good because it allows you to mix it up really good in here without spraying it and splashing it everywhere. So we are trying to get a good consistency where it's clumpy, not too powdery. I don't think we're there yet. Now you may need to fine tune the recipe, and that's one of the fun things about this, and the thing that makes it a little scientific is we have to make it and then see how we like it and then adjust it afterwards. So I think this one needs a little bit more water. It's still kind of powdery. So I'm going to add a little bit more. Don't add too much at a time because a little bit goes a long way. Seal it up again, blend it and mix it. All right, starting to feel the way I like it. Blend it and mix it. Looks good to me. I'm gonna take it out and play with it. Okay, so here we are with our almost finished batch of Kinetic Sand. Take it out of the bag, put it on a paper plate. So it is soft and squishy, moldable sand. Also called Kinetic Sand. So I'm going to put it back in the bag, and we're going to add some color to it. See, this is one of the reasons you want to do it outside. One thing, get sand everywhere. Second, you'll get food coloring all over your hands and everything else. All right, I'm going to put it back in, and I'm going to color it. So this one, I'm going to make red. So I think about 10 or 12. Drops is good. Now we can seal it up again and blend in the color. This is also a fun process too. You can watch it mix together a little bit like a tie-dye. Notice I'm wearing my tie-dye from day camp last year. I knew I'd be staining whatever I wore doing this, so I figured it would blend in a little bit easier with my tie-dye. Alright, so now you have some red Kinetic Sand, and with my blue hands it will probably make purple hands. Yep. Now, this will dry out over time, so it's good to keep it in a plastic bag. When it dries out, all you have to do is add a little bit of water and mix it up, and you can refresh it. It will stay good for quite a while, and if it gets a little bit too squishy, you can let it dry out a little bit. So this is our fun STEM activity for today. So why does this work the way that it does? We mix a couple of powdery substances, and we end up with this squishy substance. Now the key to it is the cornstarch. Now cornstarch is an interesting substance in that, I mean, you buy it, it's powder, but then if you mix a little bit of water in with it, like I did right here, it has an interesting property. It's called a non-Newtonian fluid. What that means is that whenever it is not under pressure, whenever just allowed to flow, it flows like a liquid, it acts like a liquid. But whenever it is under pressure, then it starts to act like a solid, which is why the Kinetic Sand feels different whenever it's just, you're holding it loosely or whenever you squeeze it through your fingers. You can really feel that resistance that it gets. So if this was just water and I splashed my hand on there, it would splash all over the place. But the way cornstarch works is as a non-Newtonian fluid, whenever you hit it hard, then it acts like a solid. So it's not splashing anywhere. In fact, here, let me do this. You would expect that to splash all over the table if it was water, if it was milk or something like that. But then it just acts like a liquid after it's not compressed. Thanks for joining me for our STEM activity for the day, making Kinetic Sand. I'll go over the recipe again real quick for you. We used 1/3 of a cup of sand, play sand, and a tablespoon of cornstarch. Tablespoon, turned out to be a little bit more than a tablespoon of water, and a little squirt of dish washer fluid, dish soap, and about 10 drops of food coloring. And you'll have your Kinetic Sand you can play with. Thanks.